Great to have you here, guys. You're welcome to Cubase Beginner Training. I have carefully put together this training step by step on how to understand the use of Cubase, how to record your vocals, how to edit them, how to place your choruses. And of course, first we're going to start up with you understanding the windows, understanding the working environment. Now, what exactly are you supposed to understand here? Of course, we have the lower zone, we have the right zone, the left zone, and you have every other element. For example, the arrangement session. You have also the editor session. I'm going to be carefully simplifying these sessions for you so you can follow step by step on how to use this software, the Cubase. All right, guys. Now let's look at the overview of this Cubase. Now we start off by looking at the whole environment. Look at what you have here in front of you. This is the arrangement session. Of course, what you can say, okay, this is an audio track. You have this arrangement here. This is when it gets to the sixth bar, you're going to cut it here, whatever. These are what you begin to see. All right. Now, guys, let's look at this region. I'm going to quickly show you something now. Look at these three buttons here, 1, 2, 3, very important. Now here says show hide left zone. For example, if you're on a track like this track, we're on this track now, which is the audio 01, and we say, when we click on this button, show left zone, you see these are the information that has to do with this track. Okay, now for this track you have the information here. When you click on this track here, you're going to have this information about the track. For example, you can do a lot more to see. If it's an audio track, for example, you're going to have track versions, chords, equalizers, insert, sense, fader, R. To check into all of this, you just have to say you click on this button that looks like a play button here, and then it opens up. All right, here you can have shortcut into tweaking your equalizers. This what happens in Cubase. Now, however, you want to see the beginning, for example, this audio 01, you click right here on the same play button look like here, and then it opens up. Having showed you how to use the left zone to open this, you can also use that same button to hide it. For example, when you come here, you say, you click on the same button, it will hide it. So you don't have those information here anymore. When you click on it, you're going to have those information back right here. Still talking about the information, let's look at what we have there. You have the MSRW. Now this M here stands for mute. All right, when you click on it, it means whatever you have on this track won't be heard while you are playing it. While the playhead is moving along, you will never hear anything from here because it's muted. That's what the button is used for. When you decide to solo it, for example, it means when you have a number of things all on other tracks, the only track you get to hear is this very track here, which is the solo button that you have done. All right, much later in this course, I'll be explaining to you how to write automation, which is this button here. You can actually read automation, but to write it, you press on the W, you write your automation, and once you're done, for the automation to take effect, you read the automation. All right. Okay, that's it there. So, and do not forget, also recall that in Cubase, this very button here is your record enable button. If you must record onto this track, which I'll be explaining much later too, now we're just looking at the overview of the environment. You're going to click on it, ensure this record enable button is clicked on, then you go to your record and of course record your track. Now, having explained that, let's go to this other session here, which says show or hide the lower zone. Now, when you click on this, you're going to have this window open up. Now, this window here is an editor window. All right, what you're seeing below here is an editor window. You can show it by clicking here, and also decide to hide it by clicking on it. For example, if I click back on it, it's going to hide. I say click, see, you can't find that anymore because I'm hiding it now. But however, let's open it so we can check some of the features on it. So when I click on it again, it opens up. This editor here shows you the edit window of whatever track is chosen up here in your arrangement session. For example, I want to choose this other track here. Can you see it changes? Because now this event you're seeing here is the one I clicked on, which is this other one here. If I click on this, it changes to the other one here. So this is the edit window. You can make it bigger. Probably you don't like this view, you want it bigger. You come to this arrow here, okay? It says open a separate window. When you click on it, you see it becomes bigger. You can try to make it full the whole of your screen so you can see all of this. On this side of it, you have definition, audio warp, very audio. There are a lot you can do here. Much later, I'll be explaining some other features you can, perform here to edit your audio in your edit window. However, we're going to close this now. So we're going to have to come to this button again to bring it low. So you have it here. Then you can decide to either come here, this edit window. You click on this X here and then it goes, or you decide to say, okay, still on my lower zone, which shows your edit window. I can also see, apart from the editor, I can see the mix console in my lower zone. All I have to do to call that up is say mix console. When I click on it, you have the mix. Now, this mix console here shows you what's going on in your mix window. Okay, if I play what we have here now, you're going to see a lot of these other meters moving because it's going to show you what's going on. Can you see? You can see what we have here. That's your meter right there. So what you have here is your mix window. Of course, you have the fader button where you can decide to increase or reduce. You also have the mute, the solo buttons that I talked about earlier at the other window. Now, let's still check on our lower zone. We can still find, apart from the editor, the mix console, you can also see the sampler control. Now, you can try to pull in audio here. All right, drop audio sampler or MIDI pads here. And then you can also say for your chords, for example, chord pads, you have them here also on the lower zone. And then let's go back to the editor. Not to see this lower zone, you can do that in two different ways. You can come up here and use this button that we used earlier to show the lower zone, to also use to hide the lower zone. For example, if I click on it, see it's gone. Now let's bring it back and use the other method to take it out. Now we can come back to this same zone and say X, then it closes the lower zone. All right, guys, I haven't explained the left zone using this button to bring it up. We also have this button to show or hide our lower zone. Let's look at what we have on the right. When you click here, you see you're going to have this window showing here on your right zone. On this window in your right zone, if you want to hide it all over again, you use the same button, it's gone. When you click on it, you bring it back. Now, we have a bit of features here. For example, you have the meter, which shows you what's going on in your session. When you click on it, for example, you can see moving. Now that's because that's what you have playing at the moment. Now you also have the control room. Okay, you have the button here which you can use to say, okay, you are reducing or you are increasing. And then you also have your media. Now in this media here, you're going to find a lot of ways to also access some of your other instruments. For example, your VST instrument. Now, if you're new to music production and you found this video interesting, and that's why you're on this video, your VST actually stands for Virtual Studio Technology. Now, the VST instruments, these are instruments that come with a lot of standalone, and some come with your DAW, Digital Audio Workstation, DAW. For example, if you click here, you're going to see a number of the VSTs that we have on this system. So you pick them up and use them as instruments. All right. Now that's how you can access, one of the ways you can access them using this software. Of course, you're going to have your FX, your VST effect, you have your loops and samples. If you check through, you're going to find a number of them. You have your VSTI. Those are available, so you're going to find them here. So now, having explained how to show this side of your session, what you can do to hide this zone in this DAW that we're looking at right now, of course, we're going to say this, so it hides it. All right, guys, still taking overview, looking at the overview of our Cubase. I will quickly want to show you something very interesting too. What is it? Look at this pin here, this very one. Let me say, look at it. It's called a transport bar. It's very interesting to have it here because even without it here, you're still going to have the one in your window down here. Okay, but you can manipulate it. For example, you have this as your record button, you have the play button, and you can also play, you can start, okay, you can stop, you can decide to say, okay, let's loop the audio by clicking on this. You go to the end, of course, from the beginning, and then if you want to reduce the features you're saying, you just drag to the side, and if you want to move it further, you move this way to see more of the features. And then if you don't want to see it, for example, maybe it's disturbing your flow, what you can do again is to say this X here, you click on it, see it's gone. Now it's gone. You don't have to worry. If you want to bring it back, you go back to your transport, click on transport, you're going to see transport panel, or you use your shortcut F2 and then it's back. All right, guys, I haven't explained that. We have some more important features to explain. Let's close it for now, or we just leave it and let it be. All right, more important feature is to look at the kind of tracks that you can have in Cubase. Now, we have audio tracks, which can be either mono, or you can have your stereo audio track like you have here. You can see on the stereo one, you have 2 channels, and while on the mono, you just have 1 channel here. Okay, I have created a mono audio track. Now, how do you create audio tracks? Or generally, how do you create your tracks? Because apart from the audio track, which can be mono or stereo, you also have the virtual instrument track, and you also have the MIDI tracks. Recall that your audio tracks will always contain audio files information, or they hold your audio files generally. Okay, this can be either the track you recorded yourself, which I'm going to explain to you next, or a wave audio track, which is a loop or recorded already. You just pull it in and drop on your audio track. It could be a mono and it could be a stereo. So your audio tracks naturally will contain audio files. And while your MIDI track, for example, let's create one, you come here by clicking, you say project, add track, and then you can choose a audio track. I have created audio tracks already, but however, let me show you how audio tracks are created. You click audio. Now, audio input, you can choose to say stereo in, all right, or you say mono in. You can choose what you want here. And then configuration, do you want this track to be mono or stereo? If you want it to be a stereo track, of course, with this drop down button here, click on it and say stereo. If you want to be mono, you say mono. And for those who are into film dialogue production, you want a 5.1 or 5.0, you can always click on any of this. Now, audio outputs, you want it to be stereo, of course, you leave it as stereo, and then you say add track. However, you have the liberty in Cubase to say you want to add the name. You click on it, type in the name of the track, and then you say add track, and you're going to have that track. And also recall that aside the fact that you can say add track by putting the name here, you name it, you can also decide to have audio track, which is mono, following the same configuration. Say I need 5 of this, or I need 2 of this, or I need 3 of this. You just go to this count here. Instead of 1, you increase by tapping more. If you need 5, you say 5. You can increase more. If you need less, then you come down and say, okay, this is the number I want, or by clicking on this. All right. Having explained that, we're going to look at something quite different, which is when you are on audio track, instead of coming to this place and say add track, another way you can add a track is just double click somewhere here, down below here, which is empty. Because you have clicked on an audio track already and you want exactly the same thing, you can just double click and then it comes up. So like you have the same configuration and then you name it and you say add track, of course it's going to be added. The same thing happens if you have already a MIDI track. You just click on the MIDI track, double click down here and it comes in. Now let's bring in another kind of track. We haven't spoken about audio track which contains audio files. Let's look at MIDI track. A MIDI track would contain MIDI instrument information, all right, which is quite different from the audio. To create a MIDI track, you come to your project here, you say add track, you go to MIDI. MIDI, for those who are just starting up music career or music production, MIDI, music instrument digital interface. Musical instrument digital interface. That's what it stands. Now, this kind of channel in Cubase, you have to name it here. When you put the name, for example, let's say TR, try, you can decide to say I want more or 2 of it. If you want 2, you can go by this. If you want 1, just like this. All right. Then you say add track. Now, the track we have created is empty. All right. But you can decide to create MIDI in it by playing either directly from a MIDI instrument that have been connected to your system or by drawing it out. For example, we are going to come down here, which is the editor window. By double clicking on that window, I'll do that again so you can see it. This editor window opened up. Let's try it again. Let's double click here. See, it comes up. Now you can decide to draw. Let's say you want a key C note. You double click. Once you double click, you're going to have that note. All right. The note pops up. You can decide to drag the note and make it look longer depending on the length that you want. Now we have the notes. MIDI channel represents MIDI information and it requires an instrument for you to hear the sound. All right. So you can decide to come to the channel here and choose whatever instrument you want to play the note that you have drawn here. All right, that's MIDI instrument. And of course, in the end, it's actually converted back to audio with some sampler which have been created in your DAW. Now, having described what a MIDI track looks like and what kind of information it contains, some other very important and very useful kind of instrument channel we have in Cubase is the VST channel. You go to audio. Now let's close this window first by using the X button. Now we take that out of the lower zone. Don't forget, if you need more of this kind of channel, what do you do? Of the MIDI channel, you double click down here and then you have another of its kind. Okay, let's undo that. So we take that MIDI channel out. We can take out more of the MIDI channels. So we are left with a few. So we have, all right. We're going earlier. We're going to bring in a VST channel. You go to project, add track. You're going to find instruments, right? We've explained audio, MIDI, now instrument. When you click on instrument, it's going to show you this. Now, we have a default instrument. This is one of the VST instrument we have on the system installed. All right. But when you click down here, you're going to have a number of them. You're going to have a number of them. You have the AS player on the system. You have additive drums and the likes. Now, let's leave the APC, which is one of the virtual VST, Virtual Studio Technology instrument that we have here. We're going to leave it and say, okay. Now, stereo out, of course, and then count. We just need a track. If we needed more, we would have increased it to 3, 4, 5. But let's go to just 1. We're going to have the instrument pop up. Now, here's the instrument. Guys, so that's the instrument, Cloud Drum by APC. Now, when you have this and you have a keyboard connected, for example, you can start making music, because right on that track, what you have is a virtual instrument on this track, which is down here. Press your record button and then come down here and say record, and then you start to make music. All right, that's how to bring in a VST track of your choice. You can actually name. All right, don't forget to view this track. You come down here, click, it's going to see it here. Then you can decide to double click up here to rename it. Type whatever name you want on this track, and that becomes the name of the track. All right, guys. Now, you can also decide to do something more, which is what I'm going to explain now. But however, I'm going to explain to you this E button here, which is the edit channel settings. I haven't touched it earlier. It's one of the things you need to also understand. Now, when you click on a track like this, for example, be it an audio track, a MIDI track, or the VST track, you can decide to say edit channel settings. When you find this E, you click on it. It's going to come up with this kind of window. Now, in this window, there are lots you can do here. Now, on that very track, here is an EQ. You can decide to tweak, okay, with this EQ that's on your system, very much on that system. It's an audio track. You want to gate it. For example, you have some noise. You can activate the gate by clicking on it, and then it comes up. You have your threshold and the likes. I'll be explaining much later in this course how to noise gate your audio after recording. And then, of course, you have your compressors. You have other tools right here. That's your edit channel settings. All right. Now, having explained your edit channel settings, which you can also find even in your audio track, as I said earlier, when you click on it, you're going to have this kind of settings too. There are lots you can do with this advantage. All right, guys. Now, one beautiful thing that Cubase has got is to make it easy for you. For example, to make this very interesting, Cubase have given us the ability to have to put an icon on each of the channels that we are working on. For example, this is an audio track. You can decide to say you want to change or have a certain, all right, instrument here as an icon for an audio track. You can decide to use a microphone or whatever suits you best. For example, we have decided to say, let's use a microphone for an audio track. For this stereo track, which is also an audio track, we're going to say, okay, let's put maybe a complete drum set. All right. And then for a MIDI track, we can decide to also say what we want here. Oh, it's a MIDI track. I just want to have something like this here. It's your choice, guys. Now, for virtual instrument, you can decide to say, okay, what do I do here? Let me just put an instrument here. For virtual instrument, I'm putting this, and then you click. Okay, so that makes your workflow just very interesting. These are some of the things you can do while you work in Cubase. Now, another very interesting thing you can find here in Cubase is that on each of your track, you can decide to say, on this track, I want to add more lane. For example, let's go to APC. You can decide to say show lanes. So you see the lanes available. Look at this. You have a lane here. You have another one here. You can add even to this lane, whatever you have here, and check, solo it, and listen to it all alone. So with this, you can show the lanes that you have. All right. And another very interesting thing I have also found out in Cubase is that when you come to your track here, you can decide to say new version, or you duplicate the version. If you say new version, for example, see, it's showing that we don't have anything here. But when you pick up the other version, you're going to have it here. This is what you recorded first. Then the new version is the other one without anything. If you duplicate a version, it's going to have a replica of what you had before. Now, very interesting is to say, okay, I want this. And then you can also take out, if you're done, if you don't really do not want the version, you can just delete the version. You can decide to rename a version. All right. These are some of the things you can do here. But let's delete the version that was created. So we are back to just one version. That can happen to almost every other track. Okay, just as we did earlier, you come here and then you can duplicate the version or have a new version and you record on it. Now, what's the advantage of having something like that? For example, you have this track and you decide to say a new version. It means you're going to have something else recorded here, which is different from what you had recorded here earlier. All right, guys, I think we're moving forward. I just remembered. All right, guys. Now, here is how you can color each of your tracks to make them look different from the other. All right. Now, for example, let's go to the track 1 up here, audio 01. You have this edit channel settings here. Beside it is an arrow, colorize selected track. When you click on this button here, it's going to tell you to color. For example, let's go green. All right. So you're going to have green on this track. So you can decide to say, okay, for every of my audio track, I'm going to have them green. This is also audio. So you come here. All right. The same button just before your edit channel setting button. You click on it and say green. So you're going to have, this is beautiful and very good to behold. Now, let's look at a virtual instrument track, which is down here. You can decide to come to the same button down here and say, I want it red. All right, you go red. So for everything that's recorded here, you're going to have them as red. But if you do not want, maybe because red is a default color for recording whatever it is, white is being recorded, you can also set anyway. Let's just go blue. All right, guys. Now we have blue here for a virtual instrument, but for our MIDI, we haven't changed the color, so we can also decide to say we go purple. I don't know if I'm correct. Is that purple? All right. So if you come here, okay, you can go purple. Purple. So we have a variety of colors. This you can play with just to make your session very comprehensive and of course very interesting. Colors are beautiful to behold. All right, guys, I haven't spoken about colors, like you being able to color your tracks in Cubase. For example, you can just do it however you please. It's your it's your track. You're the one making music. Now, let's look at something quite different. Still on the audio track, or any of the track for that matter, we have a bit of features that I think I should quickly explain. Now, look at this audio track here. You see, you can easily move them up and down, cut, drag, just as you want. Or when you're done editing and you really do not want somebody else, or you don't just want to tamper with it, what you do is to just come here and say lock. Okay, lock it. Now, when you lock it, if you try to move this, you see what happens? It goes back. It goes back. Even mistakenly, you can't do anything to this channel because it's locked. Look at it. All right. You can unlock if you need to continue editing on that track. Same goes for every other track. Let's try that with another track. Let's lock. Okay, we move. It returns. All right, guys. Now, having explained that feature, we have something else which is very interesting, which is the auto fade settings. You can decide to auto fade on that very track and say auto fade in, auto fade out, auto crossfades, all of it on this channel. Then as you dim fade, you set the seconds and then you gotta go. All right. But you don't have to do this if it's not necessary for your project. These are just features you just need to take note of. And I think we should be done. These are some of the major features. And then you can always, for example, if a mic is connected to this channel, and when you click on this monitor button here, you can listen. All right. You can pre-listen to that channel by clicking on this monitor button here to hear what you have on that track. Great. Now, a bit of features and we will be done with this. Now, to record, you have to, I bet I have to be explaining more features like the metronome count and the likes when we start to teach on recording, how to record, which will be the next that I'll be taking. Hey guys, how to record in Cubase. Now, having explained majorly the features in Cubase, how do you record? Now, let's record audio in Cubase. Let's bring in an audio track. So we go here, we say edit, add track, and we say audio. Now, we want to record a vocal. The more reason you have to click or choose in your configuration mono. All right. So we say mono, audio out stereo. Of course, our stereo input, we can always choose either left or right while with recording. Now, name, let's say record. Okay, and we say add track, just one track. If we needed more, we click on 2 or more. All right, we need 1, we say add track. Now, our audio track has been created. Now, this is it here. Having created our audio track, very important is to ensure that your inputs, okay, which you can find down here, is selected to the input of your sound card. If audio will only come in through your left channel and you click on right, you won't have any audio coming to your DAW. All right. You just look at it, try to record, and there'll be an effort, wasted effort. So you have to ensure that if you have your mic connected to your left, you click on your left. All right. Now, in my own case, my microphone is connected right here and not on my right. How do I check if audio is coming in? I click on the left, then I come to that very channel, which is here, and then I come to this monitor here. I click on it. Hello. You can see the meter over here going up. Hello. All right, I'm recording. That means I'm safe to record now on this channel. But before we press the record button, here are a number of things that you need to take note of. All right, in Cubase, there's a button here, set up common record modes. Now, this setup record common modes, when you click on it, you're going to have this window up. Now, in this window, you have the advantage of setting your record just the way you want it. You have the punch in, punch out. Now, I'm going to explain to you what this does, the advantage of this. All right. Now, we're going to record it with this punching out mode, and then we try the re-record mode so you can see the difference. Right here, now that we have set our channel and we're good to record, you come down to your transport bar. You can click on this record button and then you start to record. Let's try that right away. Okay. Now, the moment you click, you start to record. Let's do that again. Okay. Now you can see your channel moving, and then you start to record. Either you sing a song or whatever you want to do, or you read a novel. Now let's stop. So we have our recording done here. Guys, the advantage of what we have here, when we say punch in, punch out, is that now that we have this recording, we can decide to play. Again, we love this, but we want to continue from here. So when we are playing, all right, while we are playing, this is still here. And then we decide to say we want to start from somewhere around 6. Watch what's going to happen now. I click and then it starts to record. When I click again, it's going to stop. And I click again, it starts to record. I click again, it stops. So that's practically what your punch in, punch out would do while you're recording. That's an advantage for you. But however, let's undo all of that so we can try out another record mode. Now, if we decide to go through another record mode, for example, we say record. We click on this, re-record, instead of the punch in, punch out. Now, watch what's going to happen. We record. Let's click on the track to record. Sorry, you have to, you remember when I told you earlier, you have to make sure your track that you want to record is armed. So we click on this track and then we say record. Now it's recording, right? Now, in this mode, if I click record again, it cleans up everything that was recorded earlier and starts all over again. I'll try it again now. Let's see. You can see this mode is quite different. When you say re-record, you click on it and it cleans up all that you have and then it starts all over again. Okay, watch. It starts from that very place where you just started. Whereas in the punch in, punch out mode, it will most definitely stop whatever you have and start all over again. Now let's do that. Punch in, punch out. So you click record, it starts. You click, it stops. You click, it starts. And you click, it stops. On and on. All right. So these are some of the very interesting things you need to know so you can have your recording done properly. Guys, having explained the re-record and punch in, punch out mode in Cubase, something very important you have to take note of. When you are recording audio, it's most likely you want to do music. So you want it to be rhythmic, or you have probably a tempo of the audio file, which is the music, for example, the instrumentals you're bringing in, and of course make sure it is stereo and you place it on a stereo track. I've explained to you how to create a stereo track earlier, so you bring that in on a stereo track. While your music is playing, you want to ensure, for example, if it's 70 BPM, which is beat per minute, you're going to set that. I'm going to show you how to set your BPM accordingly, so that when you have your tempo set according to the BPM of the loop or whatever you're bringing in, then you can record effectively. Watch how it's going to happen. Now, in Cubase, you can see this E here. Okay, come down here, you click on it. So when you click here, you can actually say activate metronome click. All right. But however, let me undo it. There's actually a shortcut to actually do this. If you don't want to come to this E, this very symbol here, click on it. When you click on it, your metronome is automatically activated. I'll play now so you can hear the metronome. Let's play. So you can see that's the metronome while you're recording. It's going to play while you're recording, and because it's set that way, let's check on how to set your metronome appropriately. Now look at this. Your metronome is activated by clicking on that button. Use MIDI click, use audio click, very okay. Now click while recording. When you have this, it means that while you're being recorded, your metronome is going to come up pam, pam, just the way you have set it. Then when you click while playing, means while you are listening to already recorded song or whatever it is you've recorded, your metronome will also play. Now, this one, click during count in. We're going to try how it works. Now, when you click during count in, when you check this, it means while you press record, before it starts to record, it's going to count for a number of times that you have set. Now, what determines the number of times it's going to play or count before you start to record is whatever you have in here, which says number of bars in count in. If you say 1 bar, for example, in a 4/4 beat, which is custom time signature, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Then your recording starts. But if you put it in 2, looking at the 4/4 custom time signature, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then the recording starts. All right, guys. Now let's check how that works. I've clicked during count in. See, I just activated it here. Now let's check. So and then I say record 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it starts. It affords you the opportunity to get yourself ready before the recording. Now, guys, if I say 1 bar, just as I explained earlier, it's going to do just 4 counts. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then it starts. All right. So, having explained how to set your recording, especially your metronome, then recall that if you don't need that at the beginning, just make sure this is unchecked. Okay, let's go back. The moment you click record, it starts. See, without any extra count, because we have removed that. Then you can also decide to say you don't want it to play while you're recording. Guys, just click this, uncheck this too. You don't want to click, okay, metronome sound while you're playing, you uncheck this. But however, guys, metronome is very important while you're recording, okay? Now you know how to record. At least I want to believe by now you have made your first recording, okay? And then don't forget, I actually mentioned earlier I was going to show you how to set your metronome accordingly to what you have from your audio track. Now, when you look at your track very well, you're going to find either you bring up the transport bar, okay? You're going to find this number here. This is the tempo, okay? If I decide to change this here, then the tempo of the song is going to definitely change. Now I've increased it to 82, there about 83, now 84. So if I have a recorded version I'm bringing in and the tempo is that high, I will ensure that if it's 84, I set first my tempo to 84. All right. And that's going to lead me to the next class, which is how to bring in stems or bring in loops or bring in already recorded instrumentals so you can record your audio over it, which will also lead me to explaining to you how to record your audio on an instrumental. That's the next class. How do you record your audio on an already made instrumental such that you can record your chorus, your verses, your hooks, and the likes, and then bundle them all together. When we're done with that, then we have another class which is where we're going to explain to you how to mix your voices, your vocals, and then master them, of course, ready to use. Guys, I want to believe this has been very interesting. Thank you. Much later, I will be explaining how to use Cubase to make your instrumental from the very beginning. But for the sake of this tutorial, we're trying to record your vocals over an instrumental. And you're new to Cubase, you want to know how to get this done easily. Let's go. First thing first, you have to start by opening up your Cubase, and then you go to File and say New Project. When you click on New Project, you're going to have an interface asking you this question. For example, you just have to come down here to this folder here. You can create a folder. Like in this case, I already have a folder created. You can just create folder inside of this place and say right click folder. So here I name this folder test. Okay, under test we can say okay, we're going to use this folder, most definitely this folder here, and we come down here and say select folder. When you click on select folder that you already created, you're going to create an empty file session. Click so you have it empty. All right guys, so we have started already. So it is empty, no audio track, no MIDI track, no virtual instrument track, everything empty. Now, very important guys, now that you have your project open and it's empty, recall that we mentioned earlier you already have an instrument. It might be a loop or already made instrumental in your favorite beat making software. Now you're going to bring that software. For example, you must have made that beat probably in Reason, in Fruity Loops, whatever software in Ableton Live. Okay guys, in the course of this tutorial I'll be making beat with any of the softwares and show you how to make beat, just in case you do not know how to use any of this. But if you already have it already made beat somewhere and it's brought to you, guys, very important, you have to know the tempo of the song, of that beat you are being given. What is the tempo? The song we are going to be working with already made beat. This time around we're going to be using a stem. It's not already a stereo file, so we have the drums, the kick, the snare all separated, so that's what you call a stem. That was how it was exported. But the BPM is 95. Beat per minute is 95. That's to tell you that the tempo of the beat we're going to be working with is 95. So when you look at your environment this way, you come down here, somewhere around here, you can see we have this sign here, and then over here you have 120 by default. Now we can't bring a beat which has a BPM of 95 into this environment which is 120 and hope that we do not have problems. So guys, what we have to do here is to change the tempo from the very beginning to 95 so that we can have a very smooth running session. So how do you change this? You can do this by moving down this arrow here, by clicking down or clicking up. But now that we're going to 95, you have to go down, or you just click right away here and pull it. All right guys, now that we are on 95, we can stop. This is 95, so we have automatically set our BPM in this very session to 95. so we can start working. Let's find the folder where we have our beats. All right, so we go into the system. Let's go. We have a folder here. Let's open the folder. Instrument folder. All right, great guys. So we have them here, 95 BPM. Now we have the bass, the kick, the snare, and all of them. We're going to move all of this in here. Now, this is Cubase, all right? So you can just move. For example, let's start with the one with kick. You can just drag and stop. It asks you copy file to project folder. Sample rate of the project is 48 kilohertz to 44.1 kilohertz. What do you want to do? Do you agree to this, or you say no? If you want this way, you just say check, and then of course you do not want to split the channels, so what you just say is okay. Now the moment you click OK, you're gonna have it on your first track. So you have the drums kick. Now let's open same folder and bring up all other instruments. We're going to have all the drums elements, so let's just bring them all out. You drop, you click OK. So you have, that's the second one. You want to bring every of the instrument same pattern. Okay, if it was just an instrument like a stereo file, you just drag in once, but here we have stems, so you just have to bring everything in to have the complete instrumental. All right guys, so we bring this in and we have this. Let's bring in the other ones. We have these elements. So we have this one here. We have the bass this time around. We haven't moved this, the bass. We're gonna move it in and we say okay. Right, we have it. We want all of them to start from the beginning. That's how I move them forward. Okay guys, so they have to start from the beginning. That's why we move them to start. So we have the keys now. Okay, I'm moving them individually because they have to be in the individual channel, and I'm very sure if you move them together they still will be separated into their individual channels. So we can now move this other one here. All right, I wouldn't suggest that you move everything at the same time, especially because you don't want to have a situation where your system, like you can just click all of these, highlight them, move at the same time. But if you have a very strong system, you trust that your system can handle that, that's fine. Otherwise, you might just have your program crashing. So you just do them one after the other. Or with time, you'll just be done. We have just one more, and that will be it. Just this, and that's all, right? So it's taking this time to bring each of these items, the tracks here, because it's a stem. If it was just a stereo audio track, you just move it and drop it, and then you start to lay your voice. Okay guys, now we have everything laid just as we want them, all the instrument arranged. Now from the names, you know, we have the drum kicks, the snare, we have the every other element of the drums here, or up here we have the bass, we have the chord 1, chord 2, chord 3, we have the muted G keys. Now that's muted guitar. So now you have this instrument all aligned. Of course, the BPM 95 from the stems. Also your what I call it from. Let's open up our transport bar to check on what we have. Transport panel here says 95, so we have the tempo of this very session set to 95. Now in this your arrangement window here, you can see all of the tracks. So when you press play, for example, you're going to have it play the very instrumental. All right, guys, so that's what we have. That's the instrumental we have. Now what you want to do now is to lay your voice over this very instrumental. Now let's look for a very unique place for the sake of this tutorial where we want to lay certain vocals. Now earlier I explained to you how to record your vocals, different modes that you have in Cubase when it comes to recording, where I explained over here. When you come down here, you're going to find punch in, punch out, re-record, and of course below here you have start recording at project cursor position. Now when you have this one set this way, it means when I press record now, it's going to start recording where the cursor is. Okay, like for example, I stay here and say record, it starts to record from this very position. Now to prove that, let's open up an audio track first. So we need to record our voice. Of course, we need an empty audio track. We can record over the instrument. Look at it. Everywhere is occupied by the instrument. So we're going to bring in an audio track. You go to project, add track, audio track. Now you're going to bring in mono, guys. Mono audio inputs. You can, let this be. All right, so configuration is going to be a mono track. Then let's enter name and say voice 1. All right, so we add track. Now guys, if you want to confirm if your voice is coming into your DAW, which is your digital audio workstation, DAW, you have to find a way to click on this. Hello, you see, hello. With that monitor button, okay, yes, from a microphone I can have my sound come into my session. All right, so let's monitor again. You click on this. Hello, that's your voice coming into it. That's great. Now that we have confirmed that, so voice 1, we're going to record on this track. Now we're looking for a part of this instrumental where we can start to record. Let's come somewhere around here. I'm very used to this instrumental, very used to it. So I know from somewhere here we can record. For example, let's come to like 27 thereabout. Let's hear what we have. Okay, beautiful. Now at 27 we can decide to say, okay, let's start from here. Okay, beautiful. Now we have put our locator right here. Now if you want a situation where your recording start from here, okay, now what you're going to do is to come down here to your mode and say start recording at left locator punch in position. So when you click on this, watch what happens. Even if your playhead is here and you click record, you see the recording automatically starts from here because you have asked it under the mode to say start recording at left locator punch in position, which is here. All right, watch this. If we click on this, if we choose this and we put, for example, a playhead somewhere else, let's undo our record earlier, and then we say record. It starts from where you place the playhead. Okay, so that's quite different from the other way. So because for the purpose of this recording, we want to start it here, wherever we just want it to start here. So what we're going to do is to, change start recording at left locator. This, you can play around with this. Okay, anyhow it suits your recording. That's why I'm just showing you this for the sake of this recording, all of the possible options, so you can have a very smooth session. All right, guys. So now that we have our playhead here, I want to record from here. We know that once we click, it starts to record here. First thing first is to know what we're recording. Okay, we're recording our first vocal. Are we ready? Let's go. So we press record. Don't forget, you have to displays, record, enable displays, this channel we're recording here. So we record, enable it. Okay, this way. That's good to go. So we click on record and we start to record. Na na your way, na na your way, na na your way, yeah yeah. Now we just recorded our first take, guys. We have it here and we play. Na na your way, na na your way, na na your way, yeah yeah. Okay, now so when you record your voice here and you feel like you want to move or copy the same voice to another part of the song, all you need to do is just make sure it's highlighted, like when you click on it, so you can move it. And guys, remember, this is very important. When you click somewhere here or just around here where you have the numbers, like the markers, you can scroll down to make it like you're zooming in. When you scroll up, you shrink them further so you can see clearer. That's a very beautiful thing that Cubase have done. Now let's click on this. All right, and then right on your keyboard you just say duplicate, like you Ctrl D. You see you have it more, so you don't have to sing here and sing it all over again. You can duplicate and place wherever you want in the song. For example, if it was a chorus, you sang it once here, you want to repeat here, you just duplicate and then put it and move straight. Another very important thing you need to take note of when it comes to the idea of you trying to copy and paste is that of snap to grid. Okay, now we have snap to grid up here. That's why it's easy for you to move in between your bars. Like you come to this bar, see, from this bar to this bar. This is very good when you're trying to paste chorus. I usually do this. I make sure I have my snap to grid up on, then I start to record. Then once I'm done, I ensure I cut from that very place I'm trying to move it and move it to the next place because it's snap to grid, so you have your chorus perfectly fit, especially when you're copying and pasting them. All right, guys, you can see, look at what we have. Okay, that's a very smooth way to move. But however, if you must move, maybe probably you don't want to move from here and you want to move in between, you still come this way and look for grid relative, for example. Let's see what happens. Okay, that's still very up to bar. You can go to events. There are a lot of ways this thing works. See, I'm able to move slightly, unlike moving the other way. Okay, these are different ways you can move. You can undo them. Just ensure that however you get to use this, if you're moving great. Then you also have your bars here, your bars and beats, just in case you're trying to quantize. For example, we're looking at things. Look at now, we have it a lot. The lines here uh quite tinier than it was before. You had every bar 31, 32. Now using quantize, further shrink this. Now if you move to beats, you're going to have every beat pop pop, just like your bar you have. So guys, these are very important things to look around when you work around audio. So you have your voice being laid. Now you can try to take voice 2, for example, and you want the same parameters. You just double click at this empty part of it. You see it comes up with another mono track, and then you click okay. So you record enable it, and then once it's record enabled, you start to record on this track too. It could just be, oh, this time around I want to sing another part. Here I have this one, I want to sing on something else. Here you record. That way you can also copy, paste, and keep copying and paste. And guys, trust me, you're already making music. And once you are done recording, hey guys, let me shrink this further. Remember I told you, if you click this up here and you move up, you shrink further. If you do this way, you zoom. Okay, you zoom out, you make your zoom bigger. So this way you shrink further. That's how it works. Now you're done recording. This is your music, you love it. Oh, what do I do? Blah 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 blah. Guys, you have to export. Okay, that's the next thing you do. You do what? You export once you're done. Now to export in Cubase, very important guys, you have to highlight. Make sure everything is highlighted. Everything you want to take out is highlighted. Look at it, you can see now. Okay, it shows that from this very part to this other part here is the project. So you now have to say copy. You highlight everything. I just say Control All, guys. So everything now is what I want to send out. So you come down to your file, you're gonna find your export, and then you go to Audio Mix Down. When you click on Audio Mix Down, it's gonna come up with this window here. You want to have a name for the file you're trying to export. You put the name here. Of course, you want to have a file path so you can find the music when you're finally done exporting it. So you have it here. Preview, you can just put the name. Then you have the file type, the wave. Of course, you want to export wave. Then if sample rate 44.1 bit depth, you can try to say, okay, I don't want 32, I want 24 bit depth. All of this you can do. You want here, you can say 48 kilohertz and not 41. This is according to what format you exporting, but trust me, you're fine at 48 24 bit, or you're fine at that was 48. You're fine at 44.1, and of course 16 bit. Okay, .48 kilohertz, 24 bit. It's also fine. So guys, so once you're done with that, you say LR channels and blah blah blah. Split channels. No, you're not splitting channels. You're not doing a mono down mix. Of course, you're going to have your stereo mix, and then you export down here. You click on export, and you have your audio mixed down. You can decide to enjoy your music. Just play. Okay, so now it's asking for single, multiple. Ensure you mix stereo output. Don't stay on single, stay on multiple, which gives you your stereo output. Okay, you output your stereo, you export, and that's fine, guys. We practically done with so we have to take this dialog box off once we're done. Let's shrink it further. Let's see if we have something else. We have to shrink further to check what we have beneath. nothing much, the export audio. Hey guys, good to know that you've been here all the while. Thanks for being part of this. Remember to be the extraordinary. Like, subscribe, and be part of this channel. We have more for you. Cubase pack for beginners. Thumbs up.